In the endless windswept steppes of Central Asia, where the grass is bent under the weight of the wind and the horizon seemed to stretch forever, a child was born who would one day change the world. The year was 1162, and the newborn clutched a small blood clot in his tiny fist, an omen that the shamans whispered about, saying this boy would rise to greatness. This child was Temüjin, though no one knew the name yet. His first cries were carried by the cold steppe winds, and even the horses seemed to pause, as if sensing the future he would shape. Life on the steppe was harsh. Others ruled with strength, mothers guided with wisdom, and children learned quickly. Flirtation could be fatal, and trust could be betrayal. Survival was a lesson that came with every sunrise, every shadow, every glance across the rolling plains. From this unforgiving land, Temüjin's spirit began to take shape. A spirit that would one day unite clans, inspire loyalty, and carve an empire across the world. The steppe was a teacher like no other. Every gust of wind, every whisper of the grass, carried lessons that Temüjin absorbed without knowing it. The vast plains seemed endless, yet danger lurked everywhere. Rival tribes, sudden storms, predators that could snatch the unwary. Even as a small boy, Temüjin watched carefully. He observed how men read the clouds to predict weather, how hunters tracked prey across the grasslands, and how mothers and fathers measured every action for survival. Nothing happened by accident here. Life demanded attention, speed, and cunning. The young boy began learning the rules. Trust sparingly, move carefully, and watch closely. He saw that strength alone did not protect you. Wisdom, foresight, and courage mattered just as much. Every shadow could conceal a threat. A smile could hide a knife. The time he could walk, Temüjin already understood the harshness of his world. The steppe was shaping him, filling his mind and spirit for trials far beyond his years. And though he did not yet know it, he was learning the first lessons that would one day make him a conqueror. By the time Temüjin was a little boy, the lessons of the steppe had grown sharper. Every sunrise brought the possibility of danger. One morning, as he watched the horizon with his mother, dust rose in the distance. Riders were approaching. No one spoke. Every eye followed the shadows. Every hand tightened on weapons. The boy felt his heart race, just as he had felt the cold bite of the wind and the harsh reality of survival before. He remembered his father's quiet strength and his mother's steady guidance. Then, at this age, he understood. Danger could appear suddenly, and only those who watched carefully could survive. The riders passed, some turning away, some lingering in the distance. Beef swept through the camp, but Temüjin did not relax. He knew that life on the steppe was a constant test of vigilance. Shadow, every whisper of the grass, was a lesson he could not ignore. And so, the boy continued to learn, his eyes scanning the horizon, his mind already plotting how to survive the challenges the world would throw at him. Temüjin grew up watching his father, Yasuge, move among the men of the clan. The boy noticed every gesture, the calm way his father resolved disputes, the subtle nods that signaled loyalty, the sharp glances that warned of betrayal. Even without words, lessons were everywhere. Yasuge never forced the boy to act. Instead, he allowed him to observe, to learn how strength alone could not protect a man. Judgment, patience, and courage were far more important. Temüjin began to see how alliances were forged, how enemies were measured, and how a leader could inspire loyalty without raising a voice. Around the fire, he learned the unspoken rules of the steppe. Who could be trusted, who could not, and how the balance of power shifted with each passing day. Even a small misstep could bring ruin. Boy's eyes grew sharper, his mind faster. Every story his father told, every quiet action he witnessed, Temüjin absorbed the lessons that would later guide him to unite the Mongol tribes. The spark of leadership was quietly forming, ready to ignite. As Temüjin learned from watching his father, another kind of strength shaped him every day. The quiet, unbreakable strength of his mother, Kowloon. She was not loud. She did not command warriors or settle disputes between clans. Yet in many ways, she was the spine of the family. Temüjin watched her closely as she managed the camp, rationed food, and kept the children alert to danger. On the steppe, survival depended on awareness, and Kowloon never allowed carelessness. When the winds howled and winter crept closer, She taught her children how to prepare, how to gather, to preserve, how to endure. She spoke little, but when she did, her words stayed. The war in Temüjin that the steppe showed no mercy to those who stood alone. Unity, she said, was life. Separation was death. Her Temüjin learned patience. He learned that strength was not always shown through force, but through endurance. When supplies were low, she ate last. When fear spread, she remained calm. And when danger passed, she reminded them that it would return again. The boy began to understand that leadership was not only about command, it was about responsibility. Mother did not lead with fear, but with example. Every action she took carried purpose. Lessons settled deep inside Temüjin. Before battles and conquests, before enemies and victories, he learned from Hoyland what it meant to protect, to endure, and to survive together. Lessons that would guide him long after childhood had passed. Not long after Temüjin began learning the quiet strength of his mother and the steady judgment of his father, fate struck without warning. Yasuge decided it was time to secure his son's future. He took Temüjin with him across the steppe to arrange a marriage with a girl named Borta. Along the journey, they stopped at a camp belonging to the Tatars, old enemies, though hospitality on the steppe often hid past grudges. Yasuge ate with them, drank with them. Beneath the surface smiles, poison waited. The journey home was slow. Yasuge grew weaker with every passing day. The time they reached their camp, his strength was already fading. Temüjin watched his father struggle to sit, to speak, to breathe. The man who once commanded respect with a glance now lay helpless before his family. Before dying, Yasuge gave one final command. The clan must protect his wife and children. His voice fell silent. For Temüjin, the world shifted. Protection he had always known vanished overnight. That felt colder, the wind harsher. Not cry loudly. He simply watched, trying to understand how power could disappear so quickly. His mother stood firm, but Temüjin saw the fear she hid. So saw something else. A man's strength protected his family only while he lived. Promises meant nothing. As the fire burned low, Temüjin learned his first brutal lesson about power and mortality. And though he was still a child, something inside him began to change. Slowly, silently, and forever. After Yasuge's death, nothing remained the same. The clan that once followed him gathered quietly, their faces unreadable. Temüjin watched from beside his mother, expecting protection, guidance, something. Instead, he saw hesitation, then distance. One by one, the warriors turned away. No words of loyalty were spoken. No promises were kept. By nightfall, the truth became clear. The clan had chosen survival over duty. Without Yasuge, his family was no longer worth protecting. Hoyland understood before the children did not cry. Simply tightened her grip on the reins and began preparing to leave. Their carts were taken, their animals were seized. Remained was a broken family standing alone on the vast steppe. Hunger arrived quickly. The grasslands that once felt familiar now seemed hostile. Temüjin learned what it meant to search for roots, to dig for edible plants, to catch fish with hooks made from bone and wire. Food once considered shameful became life itself. May felt something harden inside him. Watched how quickly loyalty vanished when power disappeared. He remembered the faces of those who left. Remembered the silence. The wind carried the howls of wolves. And Temüjin understood they were no different from men. Both waited for weakness. His mother kept the family together, reminding them that survival depended on unity. Alone, they would die. Together, they might endure. Days of abandonment carved deep scars, and learned a lesson he would never forget. Abandon the weak, but strength creates loyalty. After the clan abandoned them, survival became a daily struggle. The land that once provided now tested them without mercy. Horses were gone. Weapons were gone. What remained was cold wind, empty stomachs, and a sky that offered no answers. Temüjin watched his mother lead them deeper into the steppe, searching not for comfort, but for food, any food. They ate what warriors once mocked. It's pulled from frozen soil, fish caught with crude hooks made from bone, small animals trapped with patience and silence. Their stripped away pride quickly. Temüjin learned that shame could not fill a stomach, but effort could. Days blurred into nights. Winter cut closer. Temüjin felt uncertain. His younger brothers cried quietly. Balloon never did. She taught them how to save every scrap, how to dry meat, how to share without arguing. Unity, she reminded them, was their only strength now. Temüjin felt hunger sharpen his mind. Began to notice patterns, where animals moved, where fish gathered, where shelter could be found. He stopped thinking like a child and started thinking like a survivor. The state cost energy. Every success meant one more day alive. Hunger did more than weaken the body. It revealed character. Tension grew within the family. Food became power. Decisions became heavier. Temüjin sensed change approaching. Darker. Unavoidable. At night, as the wind howled and the fire burned low, stood a painful truth. It was no longer about endurance alone. Soon, choices would have to be made. Choices that would test loyalty, leadership, and blood itself. And those choices would change him forever. As hunger tightened its grip on the family, something else began to change. Quietly, dangerously. Begder, Temüjin's half-brother, was older and stronger. In better times, age meant little. But now, with food scarce and survival uncertain, strength became authority. Begder started taking the best portions for himself. The first fish, the largest share of meat. No one challenged him at first. Temüjin noticed everything. He watched his younger brothers grow thinner. He watched his mother remain silent, choosing endurance over confrontation. Begder's behavior grew bolder. No longer asked, he took. With every act, he reminded the family that power belonged to those who could seize it. The steppe had taught Temüjin many lessons already, about danger, hunger, and betrayal. It taught him something darker. He began to understand that leadership was not always given. At times it was taken by force. Begder mocked him openly. He dismissed Temüjin's voice. Still, he began to challenge Holin's authority, ignoring her guidance and treating her words as weakness. This was more than hunger now. This was domination. Temüjin lay awake, listening to the wind tear across the grasslands. His stomach burned, but his mind was sharper than ever. The anger rise, mixed with fear. Not fear of Begder's strength, but fear of what would happen if nothing changed. The family was no longer united. A choice would soon have to be made. And once made, there would be no return. The boy who had learned to survive was about to learn what it meant to lead. The moment Temüjin feared finally arrived, not with shouting or chaos, but with silence. Hunger had changed everything. Begder no longer hid his dominance. He took food openly, ignored his mother's authority, and treated his younger brothers as if they were beneath him. For Temüjin, this was no longer about hunger. It was about survival and control. One day, as Begder sat apart, dividing food for himself, Temüjin felt something settle inside him. Not rage alone, but clarity. He understood now what the steppe had been teaching him all along. Power unchecked would destroy them all. He spoke quietly to his full brother, Kasar. No long discussion followed. Words were unnecessary. Both knew the truth. If Begder continued, the family would break. Their mother's strength would be meaningless. Hunger would finish what betrayal had started. They approached Begder without warning. The confrontation was brief. No heroic speeches, no hesitation, just action. When it was over, Begder lay still on the grass, his blood dark against the earth that had raised them all. Silence followed. Temüjin stood frozen, his hands trembling. This was no victory. It was a crossing. He had stepped beyond childhood. He had chosen decisiveness over mercy, survival over blood. Fear crept in, not of punishment, but of what he had become. He knew the steppe would not judge him. It never did. It only rewarded those who acted. That day, a boy who had learned to endure became someone capable of command. The weight of leadership settled on Temüjin's shoulders, heavy and irreversible. From this moment forward, nothing would ever be the same. After Bektar's death, the steppe did not react. The wind moved across the grass and the sky stayed wide and silent. It was as if the land had seen this before and felt nothing. Inside Temüjin, everything was different. Boylan did not cry or shout. Her silence carried more weight than anger. He understood why it happened, yet understanding could not erase loss. That quiet pain followed Temüjin through the night. Sleep would not come. Again and again, the moment returned to him. The still body, the cold air, the truth that blood once spilled never returns. This was not victory, it was a burden placed on his soul. Change followed quickly. His brothers no longer argued with him. When choices appeared where to move, how to share food, when to wait, they looked toward Temüjin. Authority did not arrive through force. It settled naturally, like dust on the steppe. Fear lived inside him, but so did clarity. Leadership, he realized, meant carrying responsibility alone, and began guiding him with few words. She spoke of unity, loyalty, and standing together in hardship. Temüjin listened closely. Survival was impossible without people. Tension brings danger. And that abandoned them still watched from afar. Temüjin felt it like a shadow beyond sight. Crossed a line the steppe never forgives. The first killing had changed him forever. The boy who endured hunger had awakened. Ahead waited fear, struggle, and unseen enemies. The steppe was no longer testing him. It was preparing him for something far greater. Without warning, destiny began to move. Every breath, every step forward would now shape the man he was becoming, long before the world would learn his name, and fear followed him. Not long after Bektar's death, fear finally found Temüjin. One early morning, before the sun had fully risen, strangers appeared near the camp. They belonged to the Temüjin clan, once allies of his father, now enemies. They had been watching from afar, waiting patiently. Now they moved. Temüjin tried to run, but hunger had weakened his body. He was caught, tied, and dragged away. The steppe that had taught him survival now showed him humiliation. Heavy wooden collar was locked around his neck. It marked him as a captive, a warning to others. Every step hurt. Every breath reminded him that freedom could be stolen without mercy. Days passed in silence and mockery. The order to serve, to obey, to keep his eyes lowered. Yet inside, Temüjin did not surrender. Touched carefully, he remembered voices, faces, weaknesses. Staring into the darkness, he made a silent vow. If he ever became free again, no man would ever place chains on him. Fate shifted. One guard hesitated. Moment. Left unwatched. Jin ran. Put himself into a river and hid beneath the water, reeds brushing his face as soldiers searched above. His lungs burned, but he did not move. Voices faded, he emerged alive. Family hid him, fed him, and helped him escape. Temüjin never forgot that kindness. He learned that loyalty was not limited to blood or tribe. When he finally returned to his family, he was no longer just hardened. He was sharpened. The steppe had tried to break him with chains. Instead, it taught him the true value of freedom. When Temüjin returned to his family, no one celebrated. Boylan looked at him for a long moment, as if measuring something invisible. She saw it clearly. This was not the same boy who had been taken away. Chains had not broken him. They had shaped him. Temüjin spoke little about his captivity. Words felt unnecessary. The steppe had already marked him deeply. He moved differently now. He watched more than he spoke. He trusted slowly. The family remained poor. Hunger still followed them. Yet Temüjin began to think beyond survival. He remembered the kindness of the strangers who had hidden him, and the cruelty of those who had enslaved him. Slowly, an idea formed in his mind. Loyalty mattered more than blood. He began helping other abandoned families nearby, sharing what little food they had. It was risky, but people noticed, not because of generosity alone, but because Temüjin treated everyone equally. No one was above another. Men who had been cast aside began to gather near him. Broken men, hungry men, men who had nothing to lose. Temüjin did not command them. He listened. That was enough. For the first time, he was not alone. Olun understood what was happening. She did not interfere. She knew the steppe was doing what it always did, choosing its leaders quietly. But danger grew with numbers. The clans that once ignored Temüjin now watched carefully. A boy who survived chains was dangerous. A boy who gathered loyalty was worse. Temüjin felt it coming, like thunder far away. The steppe was no longer testing him as a child. It was preparing him for conflict. And soon, friendship would become rivalry, and loyalty would be tested by ambition. As Temüjin's name began to spread quietly across the steppe, an old bond returned to his life. Jamukha. They had grown up together as boys, sharing rides across the grasslands, racing horses under open skies. Long ago, they had sworn an oath of brotherhood, cutting their palms and mixing blood, promising to stand together no matter where fate carried them. Now, they met again as changed men. Jamukha carried noble blood and moved with confidence. He spoke of tradition, of rightful leadership passed through clans. Temüjin listened respectfully, but inside him, something had shifted. Gains had taught him that birth meant little without loyalty. For a time they stood together. Their followers merged, fires burned brighter at night, and hope returned to those who had nothing. Jamukha led with pride. Temüjin led with understanding. Two paths walking side by side. But differences soon surfaced. Jamukha favored the old ways. Power for the noble, obedience for the rest. Temüjin shared spoils equally, rewarding loyalty instead of lineage. Men began to notice. Quietly, some chose Temüjin over tradition. Jamukha felt it. Words grew colder. Smiles faded. What had once been brotherhood slowly turned into tension. Neither man spoke openly, but the steppe listened carefully. Olun warned Temüjin softly. She reminded him that friendship and ambition rarely travel the same road for long. Temüjin understood. He did not seek conflict, but he would not abandon his beliefs. The oath still bound them, but the ground beneath it was cracking. The steppe was drawing a line. Soon, brotherhood would be tested by power, and when that moment came, only one path would remain. For a while, peace held. Jamukha and Temüjin shared the same camps, the same fires, the same battles against small rival groups. To the outside world, they appeared united, but beneath the surface, their visions were pulling them apart. Jamukha believed leadership was inherited. Noble blood, ancient lineage, and tradition defined who should command. He expected obedience without explanation. That was the way of the old steppe. Temüjin believed differently. He listened. He rewarded loyalty. He raised men who proved themselves, not those born into privilege. His camp felt different. Less fear, for a purpose. The difference could not remain hidden. Men began to drift away from Jamukha's side. Quietly, carefully, they moved their tents closer to Temüjin. They followed not power, but fairness. Jamukha noticed every departure. The Brotherhood oath weighed heavily now. Jamukha felt betrayed. Temüjin felt misunderstood. Finally, Jamukha made his choice. Under the cover of darkness, he gathered his followers and left. No farewell, no final words, only empty space where his campfire once burned. At dawn, Temüjin saw the abandoned ground. He understood what it meant. The steppe had decided there could be no shared path. Olun stood beside him, saying nothing. She knew this moment mattered. Temüjin did not chase Jamukha. He did not curse him either. He simply moved forward. That quiet separation marked the end of brotherhood and the beginning of rivalry. The steppe had turned friendship into destiny. From this moment on, Temüjin would rise not beside Jamukha, but against him. And the road ahead would be written in blood, loyalty, and war. Jamukha's departure did not bring immediate war, but it brought something heavier, certainty. From that day onward, the steppe felt different. Camps were no longer neutral ground. Every movement was watched. Every decision carried meaning. Temüjin understood this clearly. Brotherhood had ended, and rivalry had quietly taken its place. Jamukha began speaking openly among the tribes. He called himself the rightful leader, born of noble blood, chosen by tradition. He spoke of order, of hierarchy, of the old ways that placed power in the hands of the few. Temüjin heard these words through others. He did not respond with speeches. Instead, he worked. He hunted with his men, shared food equally, listened to complaints, and rewarded loyalty. His camp felt alive, united by purpose rather than fear. Men noticed the contrast. Some hesitated, afraid of angering Jamukha. Others crossed over quietly, bringing their tents and families with them. Each defection sharpened the divide. Jamukha saw it as betrayal. Temüjin saw it as choice. The tension finally surfaced when small clashes began. Stolen horses, broken camps, brief skirmishes that ended without clear victory. These were not yet battles, but warnings. Both sides were testing the ground. Poelin warned Temüjin that the steppe was preparing them for something larger. Temüjin agreed. He did not rush forward. He waited, knowing that impatience destroyed many before their time. The line between them was now visible, and once drawn, it could only be erased by blood. The tension could no longer remain quiet. Jamukha made the first move, not with a full war, but with pressure. His men began seizing grazing lands, blocking paths to water, minding smaller families who truly held power. It was a warning, not just to Temüjin, but to anyone thinking of choosing another leader. Temüjin felt the squeeze immediately. Food became harder to find. Movement became dangerous. Some of his followers grew afraid. A few left during the night, choosing safety over belief. Temüjin did not stop them. He understood fear better than most. When the first real clash came, it was sudden and chaotic. Horses thundered across the grass. Arrows flew without order. Temüjin fought beside his men, but they lacked experience. Courage was present, but coordination was not. Jamukha's warriors moved as one body, disciplined and confident. The battle ended quickly. Temüjin was forced to pull back. He saved his people, but the cost was clear. Lost supplies, wounded men, shaken spirits. It was not a crushing defeat, but it was undeniable. That night, the camp was quiet. Temüjin sat alone, staring into the fire. He did not curse Jamukha. He did not blame his men. He blamed ignorance. The steppe had given him his first true test, and he had failed it. But failure did not weaken his resolve. It sharpened it. He understood now that belief needed structure and loyalty needed direction. The next time they met, courage alone would not be enough. The steppe had spoken, and Temüjin was listening. The first true clash did not bring Temüjin victory. Jamukha struck with speed and confidence, backed by nobles who believed tradition itself stood beside them. Temüjin's followers were loyal but inexperienced. When the fighting ended, the ground told a harsh story. Temüjin was forced to retreat, leaving behind broken tents, lost horses, and wounded pride. Defeat settled heavily on the camp. Some men whispered doubts. Others feared Jamukha's strength. Temüjin felt the weight of every loss. He did not hide from it. He walked among his people, listening, acknowledging the pain without excuses. That night, he did not sleep. Instead, he thought. He realized loyalty alone was not enough. Courage without structure led to chaos. Jamukha had not won because he was stronger. He had won because he was organized. Temüjin began to change. He divided his men into small units, teaching them to move together, fight together, and survive together. He rewarded discipline. He punished carelessness. Slowly, order replaced confusion. He listened to older warriors, learned from hunters, and observed how enemies moved. Every mistake became a lesson. Every scar carried meaning. Poelin watched quietly. She saw the boy who once endured hunger becoming something sharper. Defeat had not broken him, it had focused him. Men who stayed after loss became more loyal than ever. They knew Temüjin did not abandon them in failure. That mattered. Jamukha believed the fight was already decided. He was wrong. The steppe teaches its hardest lessons through loss. And Temüjin was learning faster than anyone realized. This defeat was not an ending. It was preparing. After defeat, something unexpected happened. Men did not leave. Those who remained gathered closer to Temüjin. They had seen how he walked among the wounded, how he shared the last food, how he took responsibility without anger. To them, that mattered more than victory. Temüjin spoke openly. He admitted his mistakes. He promised nothing except effort and fairness. No man was raised above another. No share was taken unjustly. For warriors used to nobles taking everything, this felt new. Word traveled across the steppe. Families who had been ignored by powerful clans began to drift toward Temüjin's camp. Hunters, herdsmen, and outcasts, men with skill but no status. Temüjin welcomed them all. He did not ask where they came from, only whether they would stand together. He organized them carefully. Small groups became units. Each man knew his place and purpose. Loyalty was rewarded. Cowardice was corrected, not mocked. The camp began to change. There was order now. Fires burned with discipline. Guards rotated, food was shared equally. People felt protected. Jamukha heard of this and laughed. He believed Temüjin was gathering weak men. And without noble blood, he trusted tradition to keep power in his hands. But the steppe was changing. Men followed Temüjin because he stood beside them, not above them. He remembered names, he remembered debts. He never forgot who stayed when things were hardest. Oelun saw it clearly. Leadership had found her son, not through conquest, but through trust. The steppe does not choose leaders by birth. It chooses those others are willing to follow. And slowly, quietly, Temüjin was becoming impossible to ignore. By now, Temüjin was no longer just surviving. He was shaping something new. This camp had grown, not through fear or conquest, but through trust. Men stood guard willingly. Families slept with less fear. Order existed where chaos once ruled. The steppe noticed, and so did Jamukha. Warnings were sent. Threats followed. Jamukha expected Temüjin to bow to noble rule. Temüjin did neither. His silence was firm, unshaken. People began coming to him naturally, not to crown him, but to seek judgment, guidance, direction. Leadership was no longer questioned. It was accepted. Oelun watched quietly. The boy who once hunted rats to survive now carried the fate of others. Temüjin felt the weight. He knew this road would bring war, loss, and blood, but also purpose. The steppe had tested him with hunger, with betrayal, with chains, with defeat. He endured all of it. Now, the steppe was no longer testing Temüjin. It was choosing him. Phase 1 ends here, not with a crown, but with inevitability. In Phase 2, tribal wars will erupt, alliances will shatter, and Temüjin's rise will demand everything from him. If you want to witness how a survivor becomes a conqueror, subscribe now and stay with us, so you don't miss the beginning of Phase 2. Because the real war is about to begin.